Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to John Kelly's Thrive. So happy to have you here today. Today, we're going to be talking about how to stop drinking alcohol. I mean, some people can have a couple drinks, a couple beers, whatever, and that's fine. People that have a problem with alcohol can have a few drinks. Okay. I mean, it's not fine. They don't stop. And that becomes a very big problem. It's going to be up to you on what path you want to take on this journey, because there's various ways people stop drinking alcohol. Uh, I've seen people stop cold turkey. I've seen people go into programs such as AA and NA. I've seen people go to church. I mean, it's entirely up to yourself. Most important thing is you make the decision. I'm here today to share my strength open experience. I'm a recovering cocaine addict that has drank a lot of alcohol to wash down my cocaine, especially. So I want you to make a decision on which way you want to go. I know I can't control you. This is entirely up to you, and that's what's important. One of the books that I've written is my life story, Discovering Lazarus, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly of John Kelly. How I was a hardcore cocaine addict, a big drinker, moved on to doing volunteer work and becoming a counselor, substance abuse counselor, and then moving on to becoming a cocaine addiction specialist psychotherapist. And eventually, many of you have probably seen me on TV. I continued my research and got into the field of serial murder because I believed it was an addiction. I was the first one called serial murder an addiction. So, with all that being said, let me tell you, 28 years I've been working in the substance abuse and addictions field before I moved on. And I was a director of a couple of counseling centers, executive director. Most importantly, let's get to alcohol. Okay, that's what you're here for. Excessive alcohol drinking can cause a lot of serious emotional, physical, and legal problems. And I think you guys are familiar with that. You're familiar about, with people that, have broken up relationships because of drinking. You have people that have physical problems, and I've seen that up close and personal. I'm going to share more with that to you soon. So stay with me. A lot of physical problems can come from alcohol consumption. Believe me. I didn't believe it until I saw it up close and personal. All right. And then, of course, legal problems, getting in fights, DWIs, etc. So a lot of problems can be associated with being drunk. That simple. Okay. And again, you have to understand that this, again, is not counseling. You're going to make your own decisions. And I'm just sharing my strength open experience, which is in my books. All right. First, let me inform you a bit about the drug. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, alcohol is a drug, a very strong drug. So you have a clear understanding. You're dealing with alcohol, which is an extremely powerful central nervous system depressant and can act as a general anesthetic. Did you ever hear the saying, when somebody's drunk, boy, they're feeling no pain? Feeling no pain? Well, that is a true quote, because they are feeling no pain. There's no question about it. I mean, you go back to Civil War, they were using alcohol as an anesthetic. They were removing limbs on the battlefield and outside the battlefield using alcohol as the anesthetic of choice. So just think about how powerful this drug can be. If they get you drunk enough on it, they can cut off your leg or your arm or a finger or something. So, that's really how strong of a central nervous system depressant it is. And it's very good at removing emotional pain too. You'll hear the saying, I'm sure you've heard it, I'm sure you'll hear it again, drinking to forget, right? And, like Jim Morrison used to sing all the time, learn to forget, right? So, got to keep that in mind. Now, the other thing is the cycle of alcohol and depression, the cycle of alcohol abuse and depression. The more you ingest a strong central nervous system depressant drug, again, alcohol is a drug, the more you're setting your system up to become depressed. Because what you're doing is you're depleting neurotransmitters, brain chemicals, like other drugs do. All drugs do it one way or the other. This one specifically with dopamine. And the more you use, the more you drink, the more you're going to deplete and the closer you're going to get to depression. So you're not only using a depressant to inhibit you and kind of, depress your body, if you will, it's really like a sedative, but also too, what you're doing is you're depleting neurotransmitter and you're setting yourself up for some serious emotional problems by depleting brain chemical. The more you drink, the more depressed you will get. Take my word for it. Okay. And I'm not talking about a guy that goes out and has a couple beers here and there, okay, or socially drinks. I'm talking about us that just, for whatever reason, continue to drink and drink a lot. Alcohol is pervasive, and there's very little stigma attached to it, and especially with excessive drinking. If you look in our culture, and our culture really promotes alcohol use and the drinking of booze. In a lot of the movies, you'll see that alcohol, drinking a lot of alcohol, is considered pretty cool, right? I mean, think of the movies you've seen, and the coolness that's attributed to being a drunk or really being able to put them away, right? Alcohol will also change your mood, if not in the beginning, which it usually will anyway, because it uninhibits you. But over a course of time, will make you into kind of a different person. It's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde syndrome attached to it, if you know what I mean. It's pretty strange. You're a real angry drunk. 1 minute, a guy's a real nice guy. Next minute, he's drunk. He's smashing up the whole bar and everything, beating people up, throwing stuff through windows. So definitely alcohol can have a lot to do with mood and temperament. And you all notice if you're watching the show, right? You've seen this before. You've probably lived it in some which way, shape, or form. And definitely can turn you from a Dr. Jekyll to a Mr. Hyde real quickly. Also, the other thing I want to point out is alcohol is very toxic to the body. And I just want to share a story with you, so you have a clear understanding that I was up close and personal with it. And this was when I was working with alcoholics in a detox situation in an inner city hospital. In that hospital and in that setting on our unit, we had the most complicated addictions uh, around. Okay, we had a lot of heroin use, we had a lot of cocaine use, we had a lot of methamphetamine use, we had a lot of what we call fantasy addicts. These are addicts that were addicted to hallucinogenics, right? So we had it all right? And if it was complicated and you needed a detox, we were the place. Because don't forget, in those days, you had a lot of people that had HIV. I mean, I'm going back many moons, right? And you had other diseases that were running rampant at the time, Hep C, okay, a lot of venereal disease. So it was very complicated with some of the people we had to work with. And it was the best training I could have ever had in my life, and I learned a lot. But what I learned is that alcohol is like poison in a way to the human body. It goes through the system like lightning and negatively affects various organs and depletes majorly, in a major way, your whole immune system. Okay. I mean, over time, alcohol gets you, you know, severe alcohol abuse or even alcohol dependence can really set you up for an early death. There's no question about it. I mean, there's a lot of research out there now that's saying alcohol, heavy duty alcohol use can cause cancer and is causing cancer. Okay, that's some of the latest research we've been looking at. But what I saw was the way alcohol attacked, and I'm talking about alcohol abuse pretty much versus dependence. I'm going to talk about those two now. If somebody that abuses alcohol real heavy, and what they're doing is they're really destroying their insides. I mean, a lot of pancreatitis. You can blow a liver and start to have heart disease, start to affect your kidneys. I mean, it acts like lightning going through your system. I mean, over and over and over and over and over, and eventually it will wear your system down. And like I said, it will wear your immune system down as well. Okay. When you talk about alcohol dependence, that is like a jump from the minor leagues to the major leagues because now you are dependent on alcohol to get up in the morning and to function. Okay. And most people that are alcohol dependent have to have a drink first thing in the morning when they get up. If they don't, there's a possibility they can go into withdrawals. And if they go into withdrawals, that can cause delirium tremors. They can start to become tremulous. All right. And they can start to be delirious. And I've seen all this up close and personal. Okay. And just for 1 second, getting back to how it affects you again physically, I've actually seen people turned upside down in a hospital bed, pretty much elevated to that point to try and keep the blood in them because they were bleeding so bad internally from their alcohol use. And like I said, the alcohol dependence will do the same physical stuff. Detrimentally, it has the same physical characteristics. However, you're going to suffer really some severe emotional stuff too. Like I said, the delirium tremors and the hallucinations. I mean, and I've seen that up close and personal too. Not a pretty sight. Not a pretty sight. If you think your drinking is causing you a problem, the question is, how again do we stop it? If you want to stop using alcohol, you got to stay away from people, places, and things that have anything to do with alcohol. You got to change your behavior completely. If you're alcoholic or you feel you're alcohol abusing, abusive, or alcohol even dependent, they always come up with different terms. Alcoholism is a term of the past, but it still means a lot when you hear it, right? And you have to be aware of not only staying away from people, places, and things, but being aware of various triggers which can bring you back to people or places or things that have anything to do with alcohol. For instance, if you're looking at a visual trigger, it could be something you see, a bar, a restaurant, a lounge, a nightclub. Boy, I miss that place so bad. Just seeing it brings back nice memories. For some reason, somehow you forget about the bad memories too. Just focus on the good memories. That's your disease trying to kick in. That's the alcohol trying to get you to go back there. Then there can be auditory memories. And you got to think of that too. These auditory triggers, songs that you heard, maybe where you partied, there were certain songs that you really liked, you danced to, you enjoyed, you drank to. You drank to these songs. So when you hear these songs, they're going to bring you back. They're going to bring you back. Or emotionally, emotionally, maybe alcohol was part of the ritual when you were involved sexually. Maybe it was involved in the ritual of having fun. How can I ever have fun again if I can't drink? Right? That's what people say, right? It's all BS. Why don't you try it? Try having some fun without drinking, all right? Well, anyway, as you start your journey, I not only wish you luck, but some of my suggestions are, again, staying away from people, places, and things. And I suggest you be evaluated for your drinking by a qualified professional. a person that, is certified or licensed or both, and it can be an MD, it can be a clinical social worker, it can be an alcohol drug counselor. Now, that somebody that does it for a living, that evaluates people for alcohol abuse, you need this to find out, if you may need at this time inpatient or outpatient treatment. That's very important. Very, very important. And even if you start out in outpatient treatment and it's not working, it's not the end of the world. You go on to inpatient. It just means you have a more severe illness. Alcohol dependence or alcohol abuse or alcoholism, however you want to frame it up. Okay. It's always play on words. Okay. It means it's messing up your life. Something's going on. You're having a problem with your life. All right. And the most important thing is you try to take back control. You're out of control, right? So you want to get back into control. And the most important thing is you follow through on a treatment program. And it may call for not only outpatient counseling, but may suggest going to AA. AA is a fantastic support group. It's been around forever. Lots of success if you go. There's been lots of success with AA. AA has been found to be more successful than pretty much any medication out there on the market, or pretty much any other kind of treatment for alcohol abuse or alcohol dependence. Just so you know that, you understand that. After you go through your evaluation and set up an outpatient treatment plan, that may call for that has to be followed up with a psych eval. Okay, because you're drinking a heavy duty sedative, central nervous system depressant drug that's going to set you up for a lot of different things. And as I said earlier, the more you drink, the more you deplete neurotransmitter or brain chemical, right? So you may need to follow up with a psych evaluation because you may need to be getting a little medication to help you with anxiety or depression or both, and an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medication, short duration. Depending on the doctor, whatever the doctor says, I don't think it's going to hurt whatsoever, and maybe just what you need to get you back on your feet. So you got to be open to having a regular alcohol and drug evaluation, and then the possibility of having a psych evaluation, or you may want to have them both at the same time, especially if you're really teetering and on edge with anxiety, or you're feeling really low and down in the dumps, and you might be extremely depressed, which can be another monster all in itself. Okay, so has to be checked in on and taken care of. That has to be dealt with. Depending on how dependent you are on alcohol, that will call for the medically supervised detox, right? You may not need medically supervised detox, or you may have to go into a hospital and get detoxed. These days, sometimes they're trying it on an outpatient basis. I guess I'm old school. I still prefer inpatient, in-house, in-hospital detox. And, a medically supervised rehabilitation center usually has a really good psychiatrist there and or psychologist, and they can, do a pretty good psych eval as well if you're in there. Don't be scared about having to go into a rehab. That's what they're there for, okay? Depending on how far the illness has progressed. You're not a bad person trying to get good. You're a sick person trying to get well. Did you hear me? You're not a bad person trying to get good. You're a sick person trying to get well. That's what's important. You keep that up here, right? And, of course, Don't be afraid of medications. Any medications your doctor may suggest. All right. He knows better than you. Don't try to become a doctor all of a sudden, right? There may be a follow up and there may be strong recommendations after all this therapy. Some people follow through, some people don't. I find the people that follow through on their aftercare do very well. And that aftercare can consist of outpatient counseling along with AA meetings. It's up to you. It's your life. You make your decisions. I'm just telling you what I've seen over 28 years work the best. With all that being said, thank you so much for checking in today. I truly appreciate it. I want to see you well and happy. Okay, that's most important. So please take care of yourself. Have a great day and God bless. Thank you.